Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bell Boxing. Tonight, we're talking about the Sky Boxer card that's just finished, Eubank v Williams. Joined by regular co-host Carl. Evening, mate.
Good evening. Good evening.
Enjoy the fights?
Yep, good card. Sets a good precedent for boxer. Good main event as well. So yeah, I like a little bit of Clarissa Shields. I'm sure we're going to come on to.
Absolutely. So we're gonna review the old card, or the majority of it anyway. I think I saw all the fights. You saw it from the English welterweight title fight, didn't you?
Which should have been far further up the card, I might add.
Absolutely shocking that. To be fair, for me, that was the fight of the night as well. How that wasn't either the opener for the live show or midway up the card for the live show, I don't know.
Compare it, Andy, against Gill versus Robinson. It's night and day, isn't it?
Oh, I don't understand what they were trying to prove with the Robinson fight. It was always going to be or look awkward because they were, they're both really naive as pros. Anyway, back to the Antwi versus Walker English title fight. By far and away the fight of the night for me. Absolutely brilliant. As a lot of these English and area title fights always are, majority of the time you see these on small all shows, like the Cole Greaves show that Cole puts on a regular basis. Them kind of shows. You see a lot of these fights, and they're always really competitive, and this was no different. How did you see it? Did you think it went the right way?
Yeah. I thought Anwar was a little bit more classy of the two, to be honest. I think he had he had a few more gears.
Connor didn't stop all night, though, did he?
Just wasn't quite good enough, though, if I'm being brutally honest.
He got one of them styles where he had to take a shot to land his own.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be difficult when you're fighting a slightly slicker fighter. I mean, don't get me wrong, Antwi was great, but he wasn't winning the rounds by massive amounts, and he didn't win them all. Conor Walker was in the fight. I think he was hoping. I think he was hoping that Antwi would blow up and he'd get him late on. But what a great fight! Like I say, just a shame that a lot of people wouldn't have even seen it for that reason because it wasn't on the live show.
It just shows you what the depth of quality we got in British boxing.
Oh yeah, don't it just?
Quality.
Anyone that's in the sidebar, guys, by the way, if you fancy joining us tonight, jump on air. Just let us know, and Carl will post you the link in the sidebar.
It's already done, Andy, so I just posted it.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, I didn't see that. So what a great way to start the show. There was a. I'll just quickly touch on Harlem Eubank because the guy deserves a little bit of credit. He's been living in Chris Eubank's shadow, really. Not Chris's fault at all. But it is what it is. Harlem was great tonight. He looked really classy. He got a win. His opponent, Vidal Simeon, who's very experienced, fought at a much higher level, but clearly coming to the end of his career, and he retired on his stool at the end of the fifth. But Harlem was very slick, very, very good. He's got a real bright future. Good evening.
Again, Dan.
Guys, right?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Did you see the fight, Dan?
I watched about 2 or 3 rounds, mate, but then I had to have my dinner, so I missed that one.
Right, fair enough. Let's get your thoughts on. We just touched on the Antwi, Samuel Antwi and Conor Walker fight.
Conor Walker, yeah.
Let me get your thoughts on that.
Andy, I agree with you, mate. I thought it was by far the fight of the night, to be honest. Like the styles clashed perfectly. They pretty much had a 10-round war, didn't they? It was fantastic to watch.
It was brilliant. Just a shame, Scott. Just a shame Scott didn't think a bit more about putting it higher up on the card.
Yeah,
And then from there, you'd got this was a real strange fight for me.
Are you on about Walling?
Oh,
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it?
I mean,
it was like they come to some kind of mutual agreement just to have a bit of a spar.
I thought it was a terrible fight.
And it was a poor spar at that. It wasn't even a competitive spar, was it?
No, it was.
I mean,
awful.
that's that. Anyone. If you said to anybody, that's the guy that tested Fury not that long back. Now,
Yeah.
Fury had only just come back from his dark days and lost all the weight and all of that. But even so, it was a completely different fighter.
Yeah.
What was the point? I mean, if he wants to showcase himself in the UK and get himself on some more cards, he's gone about it the wrong way there.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? I don't know if the inactivity's killed him, maybe. I don't know. I'm not coming up with excuses for him. I'm just saying that potentially could be a reason.
On that performance, though, I think just about any British heavyweight that's got a heartbeat beats him.
Yeah, I do as well.
Anyone, even around the British level.
Yeah, I think like Fabio Wardley would beat him, I think.
I think he's a very undermotivated one. I mean, I wouldn't want to write him up after one bad performance.
Over with the reputation that he currently has. I mean, he was meant to be fighting Dillian White as a headlining fight, which obviously fell through because the Fury fight was going to happen. He was going to be headlining, and then you put him on an undercard YouTube show, third in the night. It makes no sense.
I mean, Walling would beat Wardley, Dan. He'd beat Wardley. Wardley, please.
Not on the performance from tonight, Carly wouldn't.
Based on tonight, I think.
Then you can always say, well, on the Fury fight, he would.
Yeah, on the Fury fight, he definitely would beat him based on the Fury fight, but based on how he was tonight, no chance. Basically,
what you're saying, Carl, is he just hasn't tried tonight.
I'm saying he's undermotivated. He didn't get up for the fight. That's my view. He knew he was on YouTube, for God's sake. He's not even on the main bill.
Yeah, maybe. That's a fair point, actually.
Why take the fight then? I know it's a bit of a payday, but...
Yeah, why do it? Yeah, it works both ways, doesn't it?
I mean, by all accounts, it was a 2-for-1 because he's promoted by the same person that Clarissa Shields is promoted by.
All I'm saying is he's not the only heavyweight to ever have a bad day, is he?
No, I get that, but if you're going to bring him over, surely you put him on live because he's a bit of a name. I mean,
that's not his fault, though, is it?
Don't you replace him with the Steve Robinson fight? And put
that's what I didn't get
on the YouTube show.
But you got to remember, Boxer got high hopes for Robinson. Well, they did have.
Well, they won't have that, will they?
So that's why they was pushing Robinson. I mean, I know we're going to come on it 5-by-5, but what's all that Ivan Drago bullshit about?
It's because he's a big lad with blonde hair, I guess. They're just trying a little bit of a gimmick, aren't they? But we'll get on to that in a second. What do you see happening for Otto Walling now? I mean,
I have no idea.
The likelihood is he's probably going to get a lot of fights because people are going to think he's shot.
Yeah, probably.
It could be a very shrewd move, what he's done. Because, people fancy him as a soft touch, weren't they?
Yeah, but only people at European level. Because you can't tell me that anybody that's world level is going to think this guy's going to make me look good. This guy's going to, if I have him on my record now after that fight, it's going to propel me to world class.
Yeah, well, the world title end of the heavyweight division's tied up anyway, isn't it? It's nowhere near that. So I don't know where you'd matchmake him next.
It's frustrating, isn't it? So we go from one shocking heavyweight fight to another shocking heavyweight fight.
Now this one was an absolute shambles. I mean, the guy who is fighting that Stephen Gill, one fight and he lost. He's come from the unlicensed boxing game, which you could clearly see in his style. He just rushed in, didn't he? But Steve Robinson didn't have a clue how to handle it, did he? He just didn't know how to handle him charging in.
I mean, they're both very green. Steve Robinson's only had 4 pro fights before tonight, and it kind of showed. And you got to feel a bit sorry for both of them. They've been thrown in the spotlight. Sky obviously saw the potential in what Steve Robinson could bring. A bit of entertainment, he's a big lad.
Andy, what I always say, you could wear black and white shorts if you're from Newcastle and jump in the ring and you get a big following. That's all that was about, trying to develop the fan base. The North East are crying out, aren't they, for a world-class boxer. They've got Savannah Marshall, haven't they? But they're crying out. That's all that was.
It reminds me a bit of Joe Laws, actually. Can you remember when Joe Laws had his first few pro fights and then he lost to Ryland Charlton? And that's
Lewis Ritson.
Down. I think it's a similar example, personally, but Robinson, I thought he looked absolutely hopeless, to be honest. He just didn't seem to know how to defend any of the shots that were coming his way. Going backwards in straight lines, there was no head movement at all, even when he was attacking. He was getting jabbed all the time. I just thought he looked awful, to be honest.
He's definitely back to the drawing board for him.
Yeah.
Thrown in at the deep end way too quickly for me.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree.
And you can't really blame him for that. That's got to be down to his management. It's got to be down to the team looking after him. They've got to make the right decisions for him at this stage. He's going to take it into there. Oh, Sky have rang up. Do you fancy fighting on the main?
Of course he is, yeah.
What's he going to say? No, of course I don't. But it's not going to do it, is it?
Absolutely not. No.
I mean, he's sparred with all the big boys, hasn't he?
Heavyweights,
but it's different under the lights, isn't it?
Massively. He's obviously wanting to impress, so he's letting shots go and not thinking about defence. He looked much better in his previous fight. He looked much better on the last Sky card.
I didn't make him then, to be honest.
Well, no, it's 3 fights, though, isn't it, Cole?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to destroy the bloke because it's only 3 or 4 pro fights.
But the basics should be there, though, Andy, shouldn't they? He's got a lot of work to do in the gym.
He has got a lot of work to do. But like I say, I don't necessarily blame him for that. He's not from a real boxing background. He's got no amateur pedigree at all. He's come late into the game. What is he, 30, 31?
31.
He's come late into the game. He's a big lad. He can clearly take a shot because he took loads of them tonight. And they're obviously thinking, well, let's give it a go. That must be his thinking. Let's give it a go.
Hi, Matt.
Good evening. Okay. Good evening.
What are your thoughts on the Robinson fight, Matt? The Steve Robinson, the legendary fight, which is Steve Robinson.
You can sort of understand Sky wanting to sort of take a chance and maybe push somebody who they feel has potentially got a bit of a character. I take your comment about it being a bit of a gimmick. It does show that they do have they obviously have a lack of depth while they try and sort of create a new stable with Boxer. Probably the fact that they've heard that he sparred with AJ and, he's going to go and spar with Dylan White in a few weeks.
Maybe not after tonight.
No, but what I was thinking when they said that is that those boys must be really looking after him.
Yeah.
Because if you could imagine him sparring with any of them, Jesus, he wouldn't last. He just would not last, would he? Let's be fair. But I'm sure, Boxer and Sky will live and learn from that one because it wasn't great at all.
The trouble is, though, Matt, who do you put him with next?
Well, whoever he boxes, he doesn't get on a televised card.
No.
And you have to put him. You have to just take him. You take him completely out the spotlight. Something else is that if you're a 4-fight novice without any amateur experience, you've got to have something special about you. There's got to be something. You've got to have a natural. There aren't many fighters who have zero amateur experience and then just burst on the scene. It's very, very. I can't think of any names right now.
No.
And yeah, for me, you just take him off the spotlight completely. He boxes in small hall shows. He learns his craft. I thought think it was Michaela Mayer said in commentary, and she was spot on. Like, you just get him sparring people of his own level. Forget the AJs of the world.
Yeah, his own level. Yeah.
Yeah. She was good tonight, wasn't she?
She was excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. I rated her.
Okay,
So,
let's move on to the next fight.
long way back.
Chris Jenkins, Julius Indongo. We talked about this on Thursday, and I thought this was potentially going to be the fight of the night, depending on what Indongo had left. And quite clearly, very early on in the fight, it was very obvious that he didn't have a lot left at all.
Well, round one, he thought it was Sugar Ray Robinson in round one. He's up on his toes and everything. I thought, oh, he's got a bit left in the tank here.
That's been guided left into it. It's a shame because he's been a fantastic fighter. Jenkins was walking the fight up until about round 6 or round 7, and all of a sudden, it's as though he hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
And completely gassed, and lost everything that was working for him in the earlier part of the fight, and letting Dongo back into it.
Yeah.
Which, for somebody that comes from the gym, Gary Lockett's gym, and they're famous for fighters being really, really, really quick and being able to last 12 rounds, no problem whatsoever. I worry a little bit for Jenkins. I know that in his last fight for the British title against Echo Estim, he broke a couple of ribs, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't know whether he just isn't fit. He just hasn't trained the way he should have trained, and this fight's come along and he's just took it because he's back in, and he thought he'd take a chance. But quite clearly, the latter part of the fight, there's nothing left in him.
I think he's limited, Jenkins.
How do you see it, guys?
I think he's limited. I do.
Yeah, he doesn't look above sort of domestic level.
No.
He might have actually thought, with the greatest respect on Dongo now, he might have thought he actually sort of just had it easy, because I think it was at the end of the second or the third round, and like the bell went for the end of the round, and Dongo just looked like he could have just been out on his feet, like just completely gassed. How anybody watching it at that time would have thought, Jesus, this isn't going another 2 or 3 rounds. But I mean, that's experience, and I think it shows the level he's boxed at as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't over impressed with him.
No.
I don't know where he goes, Andy. Did he go to European? I think European really is a ceiling.
I don't think he's got that left in him, Carl. If I'm being honest, I think he might take a long break and maybe work on his fitness a bit, because he needs it. Very strange, really, because before the Echo Estim fight, there was an argument that he was better than Echo Estim by quite a bit. People didn't give Estim the chance on that fight. And now, now you're in a position where Jenkins has taken this fight. Looks like he's taking it when he's not fit. Yeah, very strange one. Because he was looking really good for the first part of the fight.
Mm. Yeah. He looked like he wanted to sort of like make a bit of a statement to start with, in terms of he was getting on the front foot, and Dongo was flying around the ring, and it was just like he thought he had a chance to sort of put a bit of a name on his record. And yeah, like I said, I'm not sure if he just thought it was getting a bit easy or something. He completely took his foot off the gas, but yeah, it just sort of seemed to. You could see from about round 6, it was just always gonna go to points in the end. Like
yeah.
So moving on, I think it's quite clear that Sky and Boxer are targeting Caroline Dubois to become the next Katie Taylor. The build-up was fantastic. You know, they were blowing smoke. To be fair, she had a really good debut, in my opinion. I thought she looked great. She was very well balanced. Her shot selection was good. I think as a pro career progresses, she'll probably be the sort of fighter that will sit on down on the shots a little bit more. I think she was just trying to showcase herself. But I think she looked great. I think she did a really good job. How did you see it, Carl?
Well, I noticed you was getting excited on Twitter again.
Yeah.
With your rose tinted glasses on that you tend to put on every time someone gets into the ring that's British and supposed talent. All I'd say is let's slow down a little bit because her opponent was absolutely bang average. I think Matt could have got in the ring and beat her tonight. So what I'd say is, yes, I agree. She looks a talent. You know, she did everything that she needed to do. But did she do anything more than I thought she'd do? Probably not. So all I'd say is I do think she's going to be very good talent. I think she probably will win a world title, but you know, don't move it too quickly. That's what we're in danger of doing.
I think there was the sort of in your show on Thursday, we had the brief sort of chat in the sidebar about some female fighters because of the 2-minute rounds boxing like in a fast amateur sort of pace and style. I think McGuigan, if she's being trained by him, I think that's a really good thing because you can start to see, you know, a Coley in particular. All of McGuigan's fighters, not say all of them, but quite a few of them have got that slightly wider stance, a lot more off the jab sort of thing. And I think in time, I think he'll be really good. I think he'll be really good for him. I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good partnership because she was obviously, it's a professional debut. She's going to be, like you said, she had the big build up. She's going to be nice and hyped, and she wanted to get her opponent out there. I think in time she's going to be all right. I think she's going to be, she'll slow down. She'll sit down on her punches a bit more. I think she'll be all right. Pro debut, get that one out of the way, and you start. You know, you build from there.
Yeah. I think I know Carl's gonna jump on me for this. I think she's with the right coach.
Well, that surprised me.
Carl's not.
One thing she will get is really good nutrition. That's one thing you can guarantee.
Behave yourself.
So she'll never miss weight.
What he does is he has a lot of patience with fighters coming through. You're going to see massive differences in Daniel as well.
Yeah, agreed.
But we'll see because Carl's never going to wear that. Moving on. So, the big British debut for Clarissa Shields, the GOAT, as she likes to call herself. No one else in the world seems to, but she likes to. Give me your take on this one, Matt. Let's break it down to, you know, she's got this veil of invincibility throughout the world. I don't know about you. I was a little bit underwhelmed.
I think she's got a nice style. I think there was a little bit of debate on social media about female fighters that want to do 3-minute rounds. I think she's a fighter that could do with 3-minute rounds. I think I think her obvious traits are her hand speed. I think she picked punches all right tonight. She went to the body a couple of times and seemed to really bother her opponent. Yeah. She kept on talking about using body punches to break her opponent down, but I don't actually think she did it enough because there was a few times where she did caution. You could see, you know, that girl take some, you know, elbows drop slightly, take a deep breath of air and everything. But I think I agree with a lot of what's been said tonight and in commentary and in social media. Like Savannah would have taken that girl out tonight.
100%.
In a couple of rounds.
Yeah. I think Shields is I think she's a really good boxer. I do, but I think there is, you know, she wouldn't have all the titles she has, but she's, punch power would be the concern.
The thing is, though, Matt, Savannah Marshall, a different beast, isn't she? The power that girl carries.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing about Shields, what I noticed about Chris Shields tonight, and Dad, I will come on to your points and more in the sidebar in a minute. She gets hit a lot. You know, she gets hit a lot. Well, if that's Savannah Marshall tagging you, it's a different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think Savannah Marshall will stop Shields. I think she'll stop her.
She was in a position tonight where she couldn't lose because Emma Kozin was scared before she got in the ring.
Mm.
You could see the fear on her face. It was like the old days when fighters used to go in with Mike Tyson, and they were beat by the name before they met the man.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened tonight. She was beat by the name.
She came to survive, didn't she? That's what she did.
Yeah, and she didn't really throw a lot back. It's not. She's got great footwork and she's got decent head movement, but she's not going to keep Savannah Marshall off without having some pop in the shots, and she doesn't have that because she was hitting Kozin clean. And I don't care what sort of a chin Kozin's got. If you're taking that many shots clean every round, you're going to go at some point.
I mean, in the sidebar, and I think the majority of us are underwhelmed with Clarissa Shields because you got Dan saying that Marshall will flatten her because Clarissa Shields lacks power. Mark Brody saying it was a disappointing performance by Shields. I'm assuming that is obviously. Dan then goes on to say she was dead average, smothered her own work loads, and that 2 KOs from an elite level fighter is poor.
Mm.
All very good points.
Yeah.
Mark agreeing with that as well. I think the best part of the night was when they went face to face at the end.
Yeah, a bit pantomime, wasn't it?
It was. I think Savannah actually came across really well. I know it's not. It's just a little, like you said, it is a little bit of pantomime and it is a little bit of chops and verbals, and that's going to count for bugger all on the night. But actually, the way just sort of Savannah was just very, very calm in front of her face when Shields is absolutely going off, and Savannah was just as cool as a cucumber. And I think that bodes really well. She genuinely feels, you know, whether she takes confidence from the amateur fight that she beat her in, I don't know, because it is different. But she just looks so self-assured, so calm.
I put a post on social media this afternoon, Matt, saying that I believe that Savannah Marshall lives in Shields' head rent-free. Because every interview Savannah gets a mention.
Yeah.
And do you know what, Cole? You know, after Savannah said one thing, she made one comment, and Shields jumped up and lost the plot straight away. Yeah,
because the fist bump each other start with, didn't I? I thought, this is playing nicely, and then it just erupted, didn't it?
It was hilarious as well. The comment Savannah made was fantastic, and Shields just lost it straight away. And Savannah just stepped back and just enjoyed the rant.
Yeah,
I tell you what, that we said it on Thursday. That's got a lot to do with Peter Fury, and the way he's such a cool character.
Yeah.
You don't see him losing the plot very rarely. I think I've only ever seen it once in one press conference.
Yeah.
With not the Germany one. It was the Huey Fury Parker fight when Parker's promoter started banging on. He wasn't even on the top table.
He lost his way in Germany as well over the ring canvas, if you remember, being too spongy. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. But when he does lose it, nobody bites back at him, do they?
No,
but he's such a cool. But in the corner in fights, he's such a cool character. He never shows an emotion. He's very direct in his talks to the fighters in between rounds. He's just great, and clearly that's rubbed off on Savannah because she was brilliant tonight. You could see in Savannah's eyes that she was ready to go if need be. It was there. It was ready, waiting. But
Well, it was Clarissa Shields was very much trying to flare it up once and get a rise out of Savannah Marshall, but she was calm as a cucumber and she was very calculated as well, which I liked.
Yeah.
Not intimidated one bit. Why would she be?
No.
So in the sidebar, Dan Evans says, I'm sorry this probably sounds ridiculous, but I think Shields is overrated. I honestly think mentally Marshall has beaten her already. And then he's quickly going back, guys. What about Yuri Fury versus Wallen on the Marshall undercard in Newcastle?
I think it'll be a decent fight.
His head off.
That's not too far from being a reality. That fight, it could be quite easily put together.
Yeah, it could be easily because both with the same promoter, aren't they? Wallen and Shields. So yeah, it could very easily be made. I think that's an easy night's work for Fury on tonight's performance.
Yeah, agreed. I think Huey needs a couple more fights of people of that sort of name, doesn't he? He's not quite. I know he probably never fight Tyson, obviously, but I couldn't even see him in with a Joshua. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think Huey's coming on. I think he just needs a few fights of that. Oh, who did he beat it on the AJ undercard against Pulev? Oh, and he just then like the fringe world, the guys who have been in for world titles before. I can't remember who he beat, but just that fringe world level kind of guys.
I actually think he's underrated.
Huey.
Yeah. The thing is, he's been in with 3 world champions, and done great. In my opinion, he won the Parker fight. I thought Parker was very lucky to keep his title that night. He's then been in with Pulev and Povetkin, and at the time, I don't know if you remember, but Hugh was going through a few medical issues.
Yeah,
he got a real big skin problem, which was draining him. Now, they never made excuses for it because that's not the way they roll. But that was fact. And he did really well against them guys, even though, do you know what I mean? And he was young, he's still quite a young man, still growing, I suppose, at the time.
Yeah. I mean, Dan makes a good point in the side where he thinks he beat Povetkin. I'm not so sure he did. There's a bad cut in that one, wasn't it? But I'm not sure where you go with Yuri Fury because it's quite difficult to matchmake, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's almost in the who needs him club, isn't it? At the minute?
Yeah.
You know, so because if you're in and around that world fringe, why are you going to take a fight with a dangerous Yuri Fury? Because he is dangerous and he's still growing into, like Andy says.
He could make you look silly.
Yeah.
He could make, there's fighters, like I said, all these fighters that are, because of the situation at the top and people are queuing up for title shots, people aren't going to want to touch him because they're not going to want to risk their, anybody who's got a ranking is not going to want to face him.
Yeah.
Not really.
It's difficult for him, isn't it? He's still quite young, though. What is he now, Cole? 28?
He must be around then. Yeah.
Something like that. So he's still got plenty of time. Anyway, moving on to the headliner. Very strange fight for me, this. Eubank against Williams. I can't believe what I was seeing for the first 4 or 5 rounds of the fight. I was a little bit gobsmacked. For 2 reasons. Firstly, how sharp Eubank was. Eubank's counter. He's never been a counter puncher. He's always been a come forward fighter with a little bit of back foot movement, not a great deal, but he's always been a fighter that stands there, throws loads and loads of shots, loads and loads of punches. He was landing, and the shots that were putting Williams down were only jabs, but they were
timing, though.
Timed as Williams was coming in, and they were catching him off balance. And so I was shocked at that. I was also shocked at how easily Williams was put down with those shots.
Yeah,
he's always been a fighter that can take a punch, but for whatever reason tonight, that completely disappeared in the first half of the fight. And then Eubank is unlocked the key to finishing the fight really early, and then he just goes away from it.
Yeah.
And he spends the next 3/4 of the fight running. In essence, he could have finished the fight, in my opinion. He could have finished the fight in 5 or 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And he just took his foot off the gas and played to the crowd and tried to make Williams look ridiculous.
Which he did.
Yeah, but very distasteful, in my opinion, Carl.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but he did make him look silly. Williams never got near him all night, even when there's exchange, and he made Williams look absolutely bang average tonight.
I hear you, but those mid-rounds, when he was prancing around and not doing anything, Williams was picking up rounds when he shouldn't have been picking up.
But he still couldn't land on him, could he?
No, maybe not, but he was still picking up rounds.
Like I said, I'm not saying I agree with his approach, because he took the mid-rounds off. Yeah, I put him in the middle of the beach.
He did nothing from round 6.
If Eubank finishes that fight in 4 or 5 rounds, we're talking about a very different performance tonight. We're probably going to be nigh on raving about him tonight if he finishes that fight in 4 or 5 rounds.
And quite rightly so, because he was very good, wasn't he? First fight.
Yeah, and it's the thing with Eubank that is so frustrating. And I commented on your Twitter feed about just saying the thing I find with Eubank is he's got all the ability in the world. I think he seems to have. He's got the engine. He's got the hand speed, punch power. Okay, he stops people. You was talking on Thursday about being hurtful in clusters as opposed to like a one-punch knockout artist. Yeah. Like that's absolutely him. But he just flatters to deceive for me. Like I said, he gets him out in 4 or 5 rounds tonight, and we're going right. He's finally got it. He looks like he can do something potentially. The last round was just embarrassing for me. I get that you probably feel that you're ahead on the points and everything like that, but he was literally as good as running around the ring. It just so frustrating because he's got it, but it's just how it gets applied.
You know what, mate. If he'd have ended the fight in round 6 and been respectful in the way he ended it, he would have won a lot of people over tonight, because up until that point, it was a brilliant performance. And everyone in the crowd would have had to have respected him.
Yeah.
If he'd have been respectful back. But the fact, there's been a lot of bad blood. Williams has said a lot of horrible stuff. Eubanks said a lot of horrible stuff. But if he'd have taken the high ground and been a lot more respectful in his performance, we'd be talking about a completely different fighter, and we'd all be respecting him for it.
Yeah.
But the way that ended, the way it was in the 12th round, it's just disrespectful and disgraceful, in my opinion.
A couple of comments in the sidebars. So Dan says Eubank doesn't win a world title, in my opinion. The only thing I will say is a name like GGG will definitely wake him up for the big occasion. And Imran says Eubank never stops anyone. He backs off. He tries to be Roy Jones. He's no Roy Jones.
No.
I mean, do you buy the thing that he said in the change rooms afterwards, that the reason he didn't stop him is because he wanted to punish him?
No, because
well, you don't get paid for overtime, do you?
No, and I've seen fighters punish people a lot more spiteful than that. Do you know what I mean? You don't. You can give people a boxing lesson off the back foot, but punish them off the back foot. There ain't many fighters that have done that down the years, I don't think.
I still think he punished Williams tonight anyway. Look at the state of his face when he come out the ring. So you could argue he did give him a beating.
Yeah. I was a little bit concerned. There was obviously a couple of bits tonight said about Williams and weight making, and when somebody's, it looked like his chin disappeared overnight. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a few times, maybe it was the eye injury, and I bet he was blinking quite a lot. And I was just thinking to myself, I don't like the look of this sort of thing. It just didn't look.
I think
look great. And
do that anyway, doesn't he blink?
Yeah, he does. He does do that blinking anyway, don't he?
Yeah.
So, a couple of comments in the sidebar, lads. So, Neil Simpson, evening, Neil. Eubank still showed no improvement at all. Williams showed art, but he's British, maybe European level at best. Felix Cash would have given Eubank a better fight than Williams did.
I tell you what, that's a fantastic shout, Neil. I think Felix Cash really pushes Eubank to the limit. Felix Cash is a great fighter.
Yeah.
Yet to be tested at the highest level. I mean, I don't think Eubank will go near him. I think Eubank's now going to chase world titles. But, yeah, great fight that'd be.
The thing is, though, Andy, when you strip it all back, Eubank did prove his point tonight. I know you're saying he took it, and he did take them mid-rounds up. I take your point there. But he knocked the guy down, you know. First 3 rounds, he knocked him down, didn't he? He absolutely took him to.
Mate, I've given him all the props for, because I do disagree a little bit. I think he has improved.
I do.
Eubank's never had that foot movement. He's always been a fighter that fights flat-footed, throws loads and loads of punches. I mean, you look at him against George Groves. When George Groves was fighting out of range, Eubank couldn't get near him, and he was falling over himself trying to land shots. That's not somebody that's got good foot movement. But tonight, he was making Williams look really poor.
He was by far the superior fighter.
I mean, and his counter punch, which no one's really talked about this tonight on Sky. He's never been a counter puncher. That's obviously come from Roy Jones.
Yeah.
And I mean, he hasn't shown it. I mean, I said on Thursday, I didn't think he'd improved under Roy Jones because he hadn't shown anything in those first 2 fights that made me think he had. But tonight, in my opinion, he's shown a lot in them first 4 rounds.
So
really
Mark Brody in the sidebar says, I think if Williams had his time again to rerun it, he'd win on points. Eubank didn't impress. If he could have, he would have got him out of there. Not sure I agree with that either, Mark, to be honest. Because
I think there's more to come out of the camp from Williams. Because like you've just said, you don't lose a chin overnight. I mean, he looked. I don't know about you guys. I thought he looked a bit fleshy.
Hey, Mark, I know you put fair enough, but that's what it's all about. We don't have to agree on everything, you know.
I thought he looked a bit fleshy, like he got too much weight on, like he'd
overhydrated.
Yeah.
Now, the bottom line is, you was wrong on Thursday. Eubank's above him in terms of levels, like I said. So it won't matter which Williams turned up. He only got beat tonight. Answers on the postcard. There you go. So Neil Simpson says he was relying on a check left hook to knock Williams out, I'd imagine. Yeah. I was impressed with his timing. Them first 3 rounds, you know, some beautiful boxing in them first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is when he was having so much success with it, why go away from that? Because he was landing all night long. And Williams wasn't making the adjustment to stop it from landing.
Yeah. I'd only be repeating what I said before. He just frustrates me. He had a perfect opportunity to sort of shine tonight, and for 4 rounds, he really did. And like I said, if he stops him after 4 or 5, everybody's talking about what a good performance. But I mean, I'll be honest. I never thought as good a Liam, as good a fighter as Williams has been. After his fight with Andrade showed that he wasn't not world class, international class. Yeah, I wasn't of the opinion before the fight that Eubank wins, it automatically proves he's going to win a world title. But I don't know. I think the big thing for Eubank now, he needs to fight again relatively soon. Inactivity. He's not been the most active fighter. He's flattered to deceive in a couple of performances. I really would like to see him back in relatively soon. Who that's against, you know, he needs to keep stepping up for me.
So, a couple of comments on this side. Sorry, Matt.
No, go on.
Just before I lose them. Dan thinks Williams going to retire. Imran says, not sure, Carl Eubank didn't look great. I think people are getting hung up on them mid-rounds. Andre beats Eubank comfortably. I don't think he beats him comfortably.
No, I don't, personally.
Golovkin would stop Eubank. We don't know what Golovkin's got left. And then Neil says, I don't see where Williams can go. Maybe just a gatekeeper for the up-and-coming fighters now. And Mark says, where does Eubank go from here? So, and then lastly, Dan says, I don't think GGG stops him, but I think he beats him on points. So, Matt, where would you take Eubank next? It's got to be a step up, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'd still like to see him fight Golovkin because you'd have probably a better idea of actually how good he is. You would probably still have to make Golovkin favourite, just based on their careers. It is a fight he could win because I think he has the ability. I think he has the punch variety as well. I don't think he'd stop Triple G.
I can see him fighting for a vacant belt because I don't think Andrade is going to stay at middleweight.
No.
They're tarting the Canelo fight, aren't they? And I think that's where he wants to go. He seems quite adamant that he wants to move up and stay at that weight as well. I can't see once he's moved up. I can't see him coming back down. He's made no attempt on Andrade to fight any of the champions either. So if he got any real ambition at middleweight, he'd have done that. So I don't see him staying at the weight, which means I think his belt then becomes vacant. Does Eubank get a shot at that against somebody?
Well, Eddie Hearn's already said that he considers Andre is going to fight Zach Parker. So
really,
I think that's almost a done deal.
All right.
For the number one spot for the WBO, Zach Parker currently holds that, don't he?
Yeah.
So from what Eddie Hearn was saying, that's about done. So then, see, Imran says, Khaled Saladin says Eubank versus Brook. If Brook wins, no. He says the fight would be massive. Dan Evans said, what about Munguia for the vacant WBO belt for Eubank? Now that is a fight.
That's a really good shout. That's a really good shout. Munguia's great.
Neil Simpson saying, what about Eubank versus Rosado? Another good fight. But Eubank Jnr. been talking GGG for a long, long time, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he had that opportunity, didn't he? And that's part of the reason I think why half the British public have turned off from him, because he talked himself into that situation, and then when push came to shove, he could have, if he'd have gone ahead with that fight instead of Kell Brook that night, he was in a no-lose situation. His stock could have just. Brook on the night proved to me that Eubank. I'm not saying Eubank would have beaten him, but would have had success against him because, like I said, I think Eubank's got the punch variety. Brook landed some shots on Triple G that night that never troubled Triple G, but the variety of punches, the angles that he used and everything, Eubank could have done that and would have had a little bit more clout behind him. And he may well have lost that night, but he would have, all that support that was there for Kell Brook that night would have been there for Eubank, and he could have built from there. And unfortunately, ever since that point, it feels like he just doesn't. It's going to sound harsh, but he doesn't have the respect of a lot of British boxing fans, and I think a lot of it goes back to sort of that opportunity he blew with Triple G the first time. Yeah,
Imran made a good point in the chat bar. Why would Golovkin fight Eubank? What does he gain? He will fight Murata, who's a champion, because it's going to take a lot of money to get Eubank in that ring with Triple G, isn't it? A lot of money. And,
I think the jury's still out for me on whether Eubank has got a 12-round performance in him. Name me a single fight when he's been consistent for 12 rounds.
Billy Jerry won't bad over 12. What did he come on strong towards the end as well?
It was awful in the start. He come on strong. It was awful start of the fight.
Awful start. But, I mean, I still think you're reading too much into tonight. I just think it's a case that he took his foot well and truly off the gas because he thought it was job done. That's what I think.
Yeah, but why? Why not finish the night early? Why?
I can't answer that. I'm just telling you what I think.
What that doesn't make any sense for a fighter. Surely your instinct is to finish the fight if you can.
Neil Simpson says on another channel they were talking about Eubank versus Bennett 154. I can't see that happening. I can't see Eubank going down to 154. I
saw that on social media just after the fight this evening. That made me chuckle. And Conor Benn had already tweeted just saying, "Yeah, I'm up for a catch, mate."
Yeah.
So that made me chuckle.
Really, because they're a little bit age-wise. They're just not on the same par, are they? That would have made for a fantastic fight if you know they were 5 years closer to each other, maybe. By the time Ben's filled out to the point where he could even make middleweight,
Eubank will be gone.
Yeah, Eubank will be finished.
Yeah.
And Liam Williams, I'm not sure what you do with Liam Williams next. Does he even want to hang around to be a gatekeeper?
Probably not. He's gonna this result tonight and the way the fight went is gonna really hurt him because of how much he hated Eubank into with the passion. So for Eubank to have done what he did to him and the way he kind of acted in that 12th round was very, like I've already said it, and I don't mind saying it again. It was distasteful. There was no need.
But Nazim used to do that all the time. So what we're saying is, it's okay for Naz to do it, but not for Eubank. Because people love Naz for it. A bit Marmite, wasn't it?
Have you heard me say that it was tasteful when Naz did it?
Well, I'm saying some fans liked it. So not all fans think it's disrespectful. Some people think it's entertaining.
I ain't heard anyone say that Eubank's entertaining through it.
I thought it was entertaining.
You think it was entertaining?
Yeah, I do, yeah. And I did when Naz used to do it. Yeah.
How is...
We don't know what was said between the two of them during the lead up. A lot of disrespectful stuff was said. So,
I know it was, but surely if that's the case, then you want to destroy the guy and knock him out in 4 or 5 rounds.
Well, he's won at a canter.
Well,
he's won it in absolute canter. He's took 4 rounds off in the fight.
No, he's been great for 4 or 5 rounds, and then he's done nothing for the rest.
But he was coasting.
Just on your point about saying that he's not obviously he's not put a consistent 12-round performance together. I mentioned in the sidebar on Thursday, I thought his best performance was against Spike O'Sullivan, and the reason for that is that he sort of he boxed fought on the night. He engaged with that. This is to me is what Eubank should be, and why I personally don't think the Roy Jones partnership is. There's a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience to call on, but for me, that style doesn't work with Eubank. The fight against O'Sullivan, he went through the gears really quick. He put O'Sullivan under pressure, then he back off, and then he keep himself at sort of like mid-range, box a little bit, and then he went through the gears again, sort of thing.
With all due respect,
you've
got to take the opponent into account, haven't you?
Yeah, I get that, but I think if he'd have had, I think maybe if he had a different trainer in his corner, you might have seen that tonight, because that night, if he'd have got O'Sullivan going, he'd have got him out of there, and he did get him out there, and not many people at the time did that sort of thing to Spike. If that Eubank had have seen what he'd done to Liam Williams, do you think he would have lasted longer than 3 or 4 rounds? And just what you mentioned, obviously, about what Williams does, I would be very concerned to see him sort of box again if his punch resistance was, as you know, is on the wane.
I tell you what, Imran's not a big Eubank fan. I can tell that much by his comments.
Imran's made quite a good point on the Nazim Hamed showboating situation, he's put Nazim used to knock people out. So he used to showboat, but then he'd kill everybody.
Does that make it any more respectful?
He don't necessarily make it more respectful, but he gets the job done, don't he?
No, but we're talking about respect, aren't we?
He's not talking about the respect thing. He's talking about the fact that Eubank was prancing around for six rounds of the fight and not getting the job finished.
I fail to see what knocking the guy out has got to do whether showboating's respectful or not.
No, he's not saying it. He's not on about the respectful side of it. He's on about getting the job done. But
it's still a W in the column,
which should have been a load easier. That's the point.
You get more ranking points for knocking people out.
So you're saying Williams was not on his level, right?
Say again.
You're saying Williams was not on his level. So
on Eubanks, no.
Right. So he played with Williams for 4 rounds and couldn't get the job done.
Well, we don't know he couldn't get the job done. He just took his foot off the gas.
Yeah, we do, because he didn't do it.
It's not always a game plan to knock someone out, is it?
So you just hang
around. A game plan to knock someone out. He might not just be able to find the shot to knock him out.
He didn't try, Carl.
So Roy Jones could have well said, "Well, you've won the fight. Let's just shut it out."
He didn't try. He didn't even try and land the shot. That's my point. He did nothing for 6 rounds.
Because he was that far ahead.
By the end, he wasn't that far ahead, though, was it? Because of playing about for 3 or 4 rounds.
Well, he wouldn't come to be on the cards.
Well, I know he did, but
he was ahead then, wasn't he?
But he should have either finished him off when he could have finished him off, because quite clearly Williams had no shot resistance, or he should have properly boxed him, and won by 12 rounds.
Says who? We're not in his corner. Says who? Just because he don't fit in with your strategy. He's still won.
You just said Williams won it. Yeah, but he can't do that moving up, can he?
I do genuinely think that tonight, for me personally, I always thought Eubank was going to win. My thing for tonight was it was about actually how Eubank won. For me personally, and tonight, I think he's missed a bit of a chance there tonight to really sort of put a marker down.
Me as well.
See, I still think he's put a marker down. He's gone into Williams' back garden and beat him. Convincingly.
He hadn't put a marker down. He put a marker down.
How you dress it all, he still beat him convincingly.
No, yeah, but
he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, there's no getting away from that. But I think we've all watched the sport long enough to know that sometimes actually how you beat somebody is what catapults you to the next.
So just because Eubank don't perform how we want him to, and he has a few rounds off, he's one with the game plan. I just think people are looking past his performance because he took a few rounds off.
No, I've already. If you want to play the take back, you can. But I've already said that he was fantastic in the first 4 rounds, and we've seen stuff from him that we haven't seen before. And I also said, if he'd have finished the fight off there and then, which he could have done, we'd all be talking about this differently.
He obviously couldn't find that shot to knock him out, could he?
He wasn't trying to, Carl. That's my point.
Coasting.
Come on, Imran. Some sense, mate.
Guys, how's it going? You all right?
Yeah.
Good evening.
Yeah, there was no fluency in his work. Like he dropped him a couple of times, 3 times early on in the fight. There was no fluency. It was like he was throwing one punch and then he just started showboating, going from side to side. He was hardly throwing any punches, to be honest. Like, I've seen this is the same pattern I see in every single fight. In the Morrison fight, the southpaw that he fought last, there's no fluency in his work. It's like disjointed performance. It's not what I expect from a top level boxer. I expect a boxer to be throwing punches. He doesn't throw enough punches, and he landed some good jabs and put Williams down, which was very strange. It's just a disjointed, weird type of fight. I wasn't too impressed, to be honest with you. I think it was a disjointed performance. Apart from the knockdowns, if the knockdowns didn't happen, he probably would have lost the fight. You think if you knock someone down 4 times?
Yeah, but Imran, if Martha had a cock, should be offer.
No, but what I'm saying is, Williams isn't.
Who's to say he would have thought that way? You know, him man. If them knockdowns wouldn't have happened, who knows how Eubank would have fought? He may have fought a total different game plan.
But what makes you think he would have fought differently when in the last 2 fights he's fought exactly the same way?
But he's nothing like the previous 2 fights in tonight's performance. A lot more foot.
You don't think so? You don't think that
I
he was throwing more punches or he was more active?
I just thought he looked an improved fighter tonight.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest.
Are you telling me you couldn't see? Are you telling me you couldn't see no difference from his last fight to this fight? Because if you are saying that, you want to go and get yourself a strong coffee.
No, he did better in terms of he looked sharper. But what I mean is it's not a 4-round fight; it's a 12-round fight, and he didn't look great for 12 rounds. He just backed off and he was moving from side to side, showboating. It didn't look good. Like it didn't look impressive to me. I don't know. Maybe you saw it differently, but I wasn't impressed with that performance. I thought it was disjointed. Williams isn't. What level do you think Williams is at? British level, European level?
Eubank made him look very average tonight, didn't he? Made him look very average.
I personally think Felix Cash would beat Eubank. I think he's a very good fighter. I think he would beat him.
Cole, do you think Cash would beat Eubank?
I like Felix Cash, but there's nothing in his resume. We don't know how good he is. Let's be honest. We don't know how good he is.
Yeah.
He's not been in with anyone of Eubank's level, has he? So I don't know.
What Felix Cash will do, because he's a lot fresher than Williams, is he'll make Eubank fight. Williams couldn't do that tonight. Williams once Williams had took those early knockdowns, he was scared to press the trigger. He was half-heartedly going in with shots, landing a few, but he wasn't really fully committing because he knew that he was going to get countered. So he got himself into a kind of a no-win position in a way. Even when he was having success in the mid-rounds, he wasn't really fully committing because he was worried what was coming back or what could potentially come back. And he was only taking that. I mean, there were jabs pretty much that put him down.
Yeah, Eubank just fought within himself, didn't he, after he knocked him down 3 times. I'm sorry that you don't fall into your lot's plan, but that's what he did. Maybe you should send an email to Kelly Sauerland saying, please can you ask Mr. Eubank to knock the next opponent out, please, because we're not going to give him no credit unless he knocks him out. And how dare he take some rounds off.
I completely agree I completely agree that he showed stuff that we'd not seen before. Like we were saying, his timing and his counter punching was excellent. But like I said, it's just the frustration for me. And I guess as a fan, that's actually just what I want to see from somebody, is that when you've got somebody as hurt and as vulnerable as Williams.
Not a lot, Paul.
Sorry?
No, comment in the sidebar, Matt, that's all.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, carry on, mate.
It's just, I think that's just what you want to see as a fan, is that to make you believe that fighter is going to take the step up and is going to take the opportunity when it comes to him, and that's all. And like I said, I agree that he did outclass him. You can't deny that. The performance shows that. But just when you feel that like I said on Twitter tonight, he literally had his foot on his neck and he could have just taken him out at any point. And I just think as a fan, that's actually what you want to see, to be able to believe that he's capable of doing special things when the time comes in a big fight. He's going to need to take that opportunity if it presents it. If he gets, for example, it's a lot big ask, but if he shakes Triple G up, that might be his only chance in the fight, sort of thing. And you've got to know that he's going to step on the gas at that point, not drop off on the back foot for 4 rounds and hope that punch is going to come again. Like I said, it's just as a fan, he had him, he was right for the taking, and that's all my frustration is with it tonight.
See, the thing I'm struggling with, Williams couldn't hurt him. You know, he hits him clean a few times and just bounced off Eubank.
Mm.
So I think you'll see a different performance if he is in there with a Triple G, when his mindset's going to be very different, because if Triple G tags you, you're going to stay tagged. So I think there's a bit of that in the mix as well, where he's just like, he can't knock me out.
The problem is, though, Carl, Imran just made the point that if he's performed the way he's performed in his last 3 fights, evenly the same way, he's improved in certain aspects of his performance. Absolutely, his footwork's better, his counter punching. But the point Imran was trying to make before you rudely interrupted him and didn't let him finish was that he wanes. So he has a couple of great rounds and then he has 3 rounds off. Well, tonight he had 4 great rounds and had 6 or 7 rounds off. If he's in that mindset of doing that, thinking, you know, it's kind of like a fighter throwing some great punches and then standing and admiring what he's doing. You can't do that when you move up the levels. This is why the likes of Triple G and Golovkin are as good as they are, because they don't take a second off.
But I think he changes his mindset when he jumps in with a world level fighter. I think he will.
The point is, can he? Because he hasn't shown it. When did he last perform for 12 rounds?
He hasn't shown that he can't do it either. He hasn't been with Roy Jones when he's been in with a world level fighter. Do you get where I'm coming from?
I understand. Yeah, but I understand where you're coming from. But the point is, it's his mindset.
You can't tell me he's going to say it's nonsense. You can't tell me he's got the same mindset jumping in with Liam Williams after he's tasted his power and he's none there, and he's knocked him down with a jab, than he will when he jumps in with a Golovkin. Because I won't wear it. He's going to have a lot of different mindset.
But can he perform at that level for 12 rounds is the point.
But that's what we're going to find out, aren't we? But he ain't going to have 3 rounds off against Triple G because he would put it on him.
How many rounds?
Williams wasn't good enough to do it.
How many fights has Eubank had now?
30 plus, probably.
30 plus fights. When was the last time he fought for 12 rounds in them 30 plus fights? When the fight's gone to 12 rounds?
I wouldn't, like I say, I'm not saying that I'm a Eubank fan, but I just feel like he's getting slated for taking the strategy of taking a few rounds off when he's miles ahead in a fight against a domestic level fighter. And I just don't think he'll do that in a world.
That's my point. The point is, Carl, that's his only strategy, because that's all he's ever done. That's all he's ever done. He's not fought a different way.
No, he wouldn't.
I'll give you this one, right? A 90-odd-year-old Arthur Abraham that could barely walk, he boxed him for 12 rounds or however long it was before he stopped him, 10 rounds, whatever it was, because he could. He could stand in front of him and throw punches all day long. Abraham wasn't throwing anything back because he wasn't capable. But that's the only fight he did it in.
I'm saying now that if he was in with Triple G, it'd be switched on for 12 rounds if needed.
Carl, here's the thing about Eubank, though. He's trying to fight like Roy Jones and Nazim Hamed. The thing is with those guys is that they had serious power. They could wipe you out with one punch, knock you cold. Eubank doesn't have that power. So what's going to happen is when he steps up the level, he's going to end up like Josh Kelly. He's going to end up getting pressurized and put on the back foot, and he's going to end up gassing out.
Why is he trying to fight like Roy Jones Jr.? I come into that conclusion just because he's timing him on the way in.
Because look at the way he was fighting with his hands down, and
he's always fought with his hands down. I think people are reading too much into that as well. Just because Roy Jones Jr. is in his corner doesn't mean he's trying to adopt his approach. He ain't good enough to do it, for one. He's
never counter-punched before, Carl.
But that doesn't mean he's trying to fight like Roy Jones today. So every counter-punch is trying to fight like Roy Jones then? Is that what I'm saying?
He looked like the way he was standing, the way he was...
Like Roy Jones.
but it don't mean he's trying to fight like him just because he's counter-punching, does it? People are only making that assumption because he's in the corner.
Of course.
He ain't good enough to fight like Roy Jones.
No, he's not good enough to do it. He's not good, but he's trying to do it.
No, he's
trying to do it.
So what else is Roy Jones-esque then?
No, but you can't. There's not. You can't be like Roy Jones. That's what I'm saying. He's a naturally gifted phenomenon. You can't be like that. And he hasn't got the power. Like I said, those guys had serious power.
So if he hasn't got Roy Jones' power, blah blah, how can he be trying to fight like him then?
because he hasn't got the power to
He's
fight like that.
counter-punching, so
But
every
he's trying to
counter-puncher,
fight
like
like
Roy
that. He hasn't
Jones,
got power
right,
to do
fair
it.
enough.
You don't think he was trying to copy Roy Jones in there? Like,
No.
do you not
Do you
think
not think
so?
it's more like Eubank Jnr. with the way he's fighting?
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I think he was trying to copy Roy in there.
Nonsense. Do you really think he's going to try and pull off the Roy Jones style?
You can't pull it off. You can't.
Why would he try then?
Because
That's the way,
He's nothing like
it looks
Roy
like he's
Jones. I'm not
fighting.
wearing
Roy
that.
Jones used
All
to do the
because
same.
Roy Jones is in his corner, you lot are jumping on the bandwagon. He's trying to be Roy. He's trying to be Roy.
He's trained by Roy Jones. Roy Jones trains the way he used
He's going to fight him to fight his style, though, does it? Because he's not good enough. So why is Roy Jones saying, what I want you to do is replicate what I do, even though you're not good enough? That's a good game plan, isn't it?
So Carl, he doesn't. Does he fight? Does he fight the same now? Does he fight? Does he fight differently now? The last couple of fights you saw, does he fight differently to what he used to fight when he fought George Groves and
he's got more movement.
And,
he's got more movement.
Billy Joe and DeGale and those guys.
He's got more movement.
Right.
More movement. So is that Roy Jones then? Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, but the way
he's fighting like Roy Jones then.
If you watch the way Roy Jones used to fight, he's trying to imitate that style. Watching Roy Jones and watching Eubank, it's like he's trying to imitate Roy Jones, but he's not able to do it because that guy was a phenomenon.
That's so.
It must be getting too late at night because I'm hearing some nonsense here.
I get what you're saying. He's saying he can't replicate Roy Jones. I get that, and you're saying since Roy Jones has come on board, he has added more movement. But that's just the influence of a new trainer. That's not necessarily
correct. Matt, thank God you're on this call. Jesus.
No, but my point being is that it's not trying to replicate Roy Jones. That's just the influence of a new trainer. A new trainer is obviously trying to add something to him. I think what Imran's point is that, well, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Imran, but I think we probably think that actually Roy Jones might not actually be the trainer for him.
No, I don't. But I'm along them points as well. I'm not sure he is.
I think, and when he was talking about it on Thursday, and I thought the Adam Booth matchup was a really good fit for him at the time.
The only thing I would say, Matt, though, that he does listen to Roy Jones more than he's listened to any other trainer.
Yeah, you can see it in the corner because, and again, because of what Roy Jones did, you can understand that 100%. Great fighters don't necessarily make great trainers, but what Roy Jones does have is he does have a wealth of knowledge. He is well respected. He was a decent pundit when he worked in HBO. Like he knows the game. But trainers and fighters, that how they gel, that's do you know what I mean? It just, I just don't think it's the right fit for Junior.
Sugar Hill would be a good fit. The Crunk Gym.
Yeah,
I don't think Junior has got killer instinct.
Agree.
I'd probably go along with that.
And if that's the case, then he can't win at world level.
I mean,
Like
I've never
Kelly,
once said that he would win at world level, have I? No.
I don't entirely. I get your point because based on that, and I would, if I'd only watched his fight tonight, I would agree with you. But he has stopped fighters before. I mean, and like I said, the pre-Roy Jones, he did go through the gears and he did want to get stuck in and everything like that. I think he has. Yeah, I think we could go. Well, we've already going around in circles on it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, yeah.
I mean, the punches in bunches thing works great to a certain level, and you've got to stop people with. I think it's unfair to say he's got no power at all, but he doesn't have concussive 1 or 2 punch knockout power. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah,
and he stopped the fighters earlier on in his career with multiple punches.
Yeah,
consistently over a period of time in the fight. The problem is that isn't going to work at world level because world level fighters have chins. So unless he finds another way, and that way for me is he's got to be consistent over 12 rounds, which is the point me and him are trying to make. If he doesn't do that, he can't win at world level for me.
Hmm.
The showboating as well was terrible, by the way. I don't know what was the point of that. Like, it was I actually think it was horrible. It was disgraceful.
I think it was disgraceful as well, Imran.
Like, fair enough if you're battering a guy, and you know, like Mayweather did it when Canelo was fighting him, threw a punch and he missed and looked at the ring. But this was just, yeah.
Him really battered him. Look at his face.
He didn't batter him.
He didn't batter him.
He didn't batter him.
He beat him up for 4 rounds and then barely threw a shot for the next 5.
That's why.
Think about it, Carl. A guy got dropped 3 times in the fight early on, and he went 12 rounds.
Yeah.
So, and it's like you said, a domestic level fighter. 3 times, and he went 12 rounds.
3 times.
I'm not saying I agree with his approach, but I'll try and explain it again. It was that far in front. I'm not saying it's the right game plan. There's no way he was going to lose that fight. But he obviously couldn't find the shot to knock him out. Now, whether that doesn't make him world class or what, that's for another day. But he was miles ahead, wasn't he? So why shouldn't
he was ahead because of the 3 knockdowns? Yeah.
So he was beating him up. So he took a few rounds off, didn't he?
He wasn't beating him up, Carl.
No.
He was first 3 rounds, wasn't he? He won a number on him.
He won 3 rounds, 10-8, which put him highly clear on the scorecard.
And like I said, I'm not agreeing with his approach, but Williams couldn't get near the guy all night. Williams could not get near him or tag him all night because he knew. Let's have it right. By then, Williams knew he needed to at least knock him down or knock him out.
Yeah,
and he still couldn't land on him.
Yeah,
so I think in Eubank said, and he will only know, it was either he couldn't find the shot to KO him, or I'm just going to get on my toes for the rest of the fight because I've won it anyway. So, and only Eubank will know that. You didn't really hear anything in the corner, did you? So we don't really know what Roy Jones was saying.
No. No, it would have been interesting to hear. I mean, obviously, it would have been interesting to hear what Roy Jones was saying to him. But yeah, so we all agree that we would like to have seen Eubank win tonight. We probably all agree that Roy Jones probably isn't the right coach for him, and we would probably all agree that we're not sure if Eubank's world level or not.
We've answered quite a lot tonight, haven't we? I mean, good month for boxing coming up, isn't it? Obviously, the one they focus, they're selling the Amir Khan versus Brook fight a bit on this Sky tonight, won't they?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
What's your opinion on that? We've spoke about it a few times on the channel. But what's your opinion?
Who's that to?
You.
Sorry. Look, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I was completely not fussed when the fight was made. I am certainly not going to be buying the fight at home. There's a very good chance I'll be in Nottingham watching it though, because curiosity will get the better of me, as it will get everybody. It's a fight that could end at the drop of a hat. For me, it's a 50-50 fight. Because we don't know what either of them have got left. The fact that I think whatever they have got left, we will see whatever the best of those two, whatever they've got now, whatever they've got left, they'll show it. Does timing beat speed? Because obviously Khan's still got ridiculously quick hands, even at his late stage of his career. What's Brook's timing like? Because Brook was actually, for me, he was always, he always had decent timing. His fight against Crawford, obviously, you can see like the reflexes have slowed a little bit. The punch he got caught with Crawford that started all the trouble.
Although he didn't quit like Amir Khan did.
Agreed. No, agreed. But look, I think this fight could. It could be over in a flash. I think it's don't blink. I think it's a genuine 50-50 fight, and it could end at any second.
So We don't do splinters on here, Matt. Jesus Christ. Are you in politics by any chance?
Say that again, sorry.
Are you in politics by any chance?
No, I'm not, mate. No.
Oh, I felt like I was at the ballot box here for a minute. So, come on then, Matt. Who's winning it?
Fuck it. I don't know. Brooke.
Interesting.
To be honest, same thing, 50-50. I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah.
They've been out the ring for one of them's been out the ring for 3 years. One of them's got damaged eye sockets. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm a bit confused. I'll probably agree with Froch in the sense that Froch said that when they both were going head to head, he actually said that.
Hold on a minute, Imran. Let me just stop you there. Headline news: Imran said a kind word about Carl Froch.
No, I said kind words about Carl Froch before. I've come on your channel and said kind words about him. But Carl Froch actually said, which I was shocked about. He actually said that he's picking Khan to win, which yeah. So I'd probably say it's a 50-50. I think I agree with Matt. Whoever has a quick start probably wins. But yeah, probably Khan's speed maybe early on might take him out, or I don't know.
So in the sidebar, Neil Simpson says, I think Kelly's dead at 149. That's why Amir wants it. Might be wins it. And Paul says, Khan has a weak chin for sure. One good punch and it's like lights out.
I absolutely agree that Khan has done everything he can to sort of stack the deck in his favour. I don't think it's a coincidence. My personal opinion is that I know it goes to and fro, but my personal opinion is that the reason this fight's not been made before now is because of Khan, not because of Brooke.
I think we can all agree that.
And I just think Khan's. I think there's a part of Khan that probably couldn't live with himself if he didn't take the fight, even if it is late in their careers and it is past both their best.
Well, there's a rematch clause, isn't there? So we might have to live through this again.
There's not, is there?
Yeah, there's a rematch clause.
For what? To what end? There's no title.
You're going to make more money again.
Yeah, stupid me. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I can't call it. I honestly can't call it.
No, come on, you don't do.
You don't do splinters on this show, Carl.
So I think Khan's going to beat him.
You said Brooke last week.
No, Imran, I'm allowed to change your mind. Imran, this coming from you who picked between AJ and Usyk. You change your mind every week.
But to be honest, to be fair to you, it is one of those fights where you could wake up the next day and say Brooke, and then wake up the next day and say Khan.
I've reflected. I think I'm allowed to do so, Imran. Last time I looked, I reflected, and I think Khan might just have a bit too much. I think Brooke. It's who's on the slide the most, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I do think you'll see. Yes, Khan has got a very suspect chin. I do think you'll see a bit of resilience out the pair of them that you might not expect because of the magnitude of the fight. You've seen fighters, an
Indian summer.
Well, yeah. I mean, take. I'm just trying to think of an example. That night that Chisora and Dylan White fought for the first time, there was all the stuff and the trash talk in the build up to it, and we've all seen Derek Chisora knocked out. Some of the punches he took that night, God knows how he was still standing against the fight, and I just think it was just down to just the fact that he could not let himself get knocked out by Dylan White on that night, and I think you might see something similar from the pair of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could see. Yeah, you could see somebody out on their feet almost, but somehow just survive it to the end of the round or something. There's going to be. It is a proper grudge match, and then neither of them are going to want to finish the night on the losing end of this, because.
So near the sidebar says, I think the weight cut for Kelly is brutal. I think the weight cut for them both is a tough gig, to be honest.
Well, Amir can't keep himself in good shape all the time. The difference is Kell Brook doesn't.
Yeah.
You could see when they first announced the fight, how bloated Kell Brook's face was. It's a shame, really, because it's just repeated itself into, you have the same thing with Ricky Hatton, and these fighters haven't learned from it. Kell Brook's doing the same thing, and it'll happen again in 10 years' time with another fighter that wins a world title but should have done more. Kell Brook's was a special fighter.
Yeah.
His timing was impeccable. He had a fantastic chin, and let's be completely honest. Khan wanted nothing to do with him when he was in his prime. Nothing to do with him because he knew he'd get beat.
The fight should have been made is that as soon as Brook beat Porter, that's when the fight should. I think I always felt that up until that point that Khan wasn't fighting him because there wasn't enough on the line. He didn't have anything to get Brook at the time. As soon as Brook won that world title, that should have been enough to get the fight over the line back then and see him fighting together at their peak. Just something on Brook, and a lot of people saying, "No, he should have never made the jump up against Triple G and everything like that." I don't think his mistake was stepping up to fight Triple G. I think his mistake was stepping all the way back down to fight Spence. I think once he'd fought Triple G, he should have just dropped back down to light middle. He was never a middleweight, not in a million years. But how old is he now? He's got what, 33, 34?
35.
35. Shit. And he's making this weight all that time.
Yeah. Imran, who got out of Leewood and Conlon, Imran?
That's a good fight, man. That's a good fight.
I know I can see that smirking, man. I know where you're going. Where's that eject button?
That's a good fight.
Come on in, man. Just give it us.
I'm probably gonna upset you and say Conlon points. I don't like I said, Wood could beat him. I just think Conlon might. I just think Conlon might edge it on points, but I wouldn't mind. I prefer Lee Wood winning. I just think Conlon might just beat him on points.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I mean, I want Wood to win. I'm going on the night.
Yeah, we are.
But the thing for me is pedigree. I think Conlon's just got that. I think he's just got the edge for me. I think Wood's a terrific fighter on his way up, and I think if this had been a couple of fights down the road, maybe in a bit more time with Ben Davidson, my fear is that Conlon just has that. I think he's just it just comes down to pedigree for me. And I just think Conlon's going to go on to be quite a decent fighter, like world champion at a couple of weights. I hope I'm wrong, because I'm a Forest fan. I'm from Nottingham. I'm going to be cheering Leewood on like no man's business on the night. But yeah, I just think Conlon's got the edge for me. Sorry.
Outrageous, isn't it, Andy? A Nottingham lad saying that. Outrageous.
What do you guys think? I haven't heard your opinions on it.
So I've gone on record as saying I think Leewood knocks him out in the 7th round. I think he'll get to him. I expect Conlon to start fast, but has Conlon got the power to keep Leewood off? That's where my question mark is. And we all know Leewood carries power now. Ben Davidson did change the style of boxing.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they think, because of Conlon's style, I'm hoping that they think they're going to get the Leewood that turned up against Jazza Dickens. I do think there's an element of Conlon's team of pinning their hopes on him outworking him. I think that does Conlon a little bit of disservice. I think Conlon's more than just a, multiple punches around, busy fighter. I think he's got a bit more. He's better. He's quite good judging distance, in and out range. Yeah. I
tell you what, Matt, that stadium's going to go quiet if your prediction comes true, innit?
Fucking hell, yeah.
What I have noticed in some of Conlon's fights is he is very, very slick. He's a very good boxer.
He's a good fighter, yeah.
There's no two ways about it. But what I have noticed is he has lulls in fights. Yeah. He can't keep that style up for 12 rounds, and that's where Leewood comes in. I have no doubt about it that I expect Lee Wood to be down on the scorecards come the middle of the fight.
Yeah.
I expect that Conlan will have probably won more rounds than Lee Wood by that point. But that will also be the point where Conlan will have his lull. And then Lee Wood will step on. And body shots are gonna win the day out for Lee Wood, in my opinion. That'll be the target. That'll be the target for Lee Wood. He'll try and slow Conlan down and eventually get to him. And
you think that's what his tactics are on the night, slowing down?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then when he gets his chance, he'll take him out. I don't think Ben Davison would be saying Lee Wood's got the power he's got if he didn't have it. What would be the point in that?
Yeah.
And he said it from the first day he took him on the pads as well.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe what he was holding, and why none of his previous trainers had trained him in the way that would suit the fact he's got such heavy hands.
I thought it was interesting at the press conference because Conlan actually even said, he says, I know he hits hard. He said that I don't know if you boys were there. I went along to it, and and he did, and Conlan acknowledged it on the night. So how Conlan knows that, I'm not sure, but he did say, so Conlan it might be one of them where 2 or 3 rounds it's a bit cagey and then it catches fire.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
If Lee Wood pulls this off and wins against Conlan, I actually think, I don't know what's going on with, Leo Santa Cruz and stuff. I actually think if he is upgraded to WBA super champion, right, I think Lee Wood will become unified champion because I think he'll beat Martinez or Warrington. I think he beats those guys. So if he can get past Conlan, which I actually think is the harder fight out of the 3, right, I think, and he gets upgraded to super champion because God knows what's happening there, right?
Yeah.
He becomes unified champion because I think he beats both Martinez and Warrington. I don't think either. I personally think Warrington's out of there. I think if Warrington will beat Martinez, and Wood will beat him if he beats Conlan. I think
Santa Cruz has got Santa Cruz has got a fight lined up on. And of course it's not even at featherweight; it's up at super featherweight.
That's the point.
Eddie Hearn's quite confident that super belt will be on the line, isn't it?
He hasn't fought at featherweight for 2.5 years. He's not defended that belt for 2.5 years, which is disgraceful.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn made a point of saying it's likely that the fight will be upgraded.
That would be great because the winner, if Lee Wood gets through that fight against Conlan, which I think is the tougher out of the 3, then, like I said, there's a good chance he'll become unified champion because I think he'll beat Warrington. Warrington's a brawler. Let's be honest, he's a brawler.
And he's on the slide as well.
Yeah.
You've seen it already, haven't you? That Warrington tried to make the Zucan fight, and the IBF wouldn't allow it because it was a regular belt, which is why Warrington vacated the belt in the first place. So. The only way that fight happens is if Lee Wood gets made up to, or the winner of the fight gets made up to super champion.
I hope so, though, because it's holding up the division, right? What's going on? If a guy's not fought for 2 years, he's holding up a division.
It's wrong.
We want to see one champion. We want to see one face.
It's wrong.
Could you imagine where do you host Warrington against Wood?
50 grand.
50 grand.
Well, yeah.
Or Elland Road.
Oh God! Yeah, no.
I mean, one or the other, wouldn't it?
Well, I actually think Lee Wood's already been promised a city ground by Eddie Hearn.
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah.
So I think it'll be there.
I think it'd be interesting to see what Warrington's got against. I expect him to beat Kiko. I think it's interesting to see. We didn't get to see in the rematch with Lara what he's like. I disagree slightly that he's a brawler because the way he boxed against Selby when he won the title wasn't brawling. He boxed really clever that night.
He ain't that same fighter now, though, Matt, is there?
Mate, no. Well, we're assuming not. Got, I mean, that was bad. We don't know how the rematch would have gone. I don't think the fight against Kiko is going to show us anything new.
The rematch was looking like it was going the same way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was looking like he was on the verge of getting caught a number of times and on the verge of unraveling again. But we don't know how. The thing is, he said that Lara's power was crazy.
Yeah.
And that's quite clearly why he's not gone there again. And he's taken this route instead. I mean, the thing is, he's already beaten Kiko.
Mm.
And now Kiko's about 900 years old, so he should beat him convincingly.
But the way Kiko took out Galahad, I appreciate he's probably got some issues, weight issues or whatever.
Yeah, Galahad was drained, wasn't he?
But if Kiko's got anything left, and we know that Warrington can be knocked out, never say never.
I can't see it. I mean, Galahad was playing with Martinez for the first part of that fight. He was playing with him, and it was because he was playing with him that he got knocked out, because he forgot about defence.
Warrington won the jackpot, I know. Is it the lottery by pulling Martinez?
Yeah.
He really has.
Yeah.
I don't see how Warrington beats Lee Wood. How does he beat him? But Lee Wood's the better boxer. He punches harder. I don't really see how he. I don't see how he approaches that fight. What's he going to do? Is he going to come forward and try to become? He's a pressure fighter. He likes to come forward and throw a lot of shots. But can he do that against someone like Wood, who hits quite hard? And remember, now he's been brutally knocked out by Lara.
Yeah.
That has effect on effect on you massively mentally. Yeah. So he's not going to come forward aggressively when he knows this guy can punch, because he could be in that same place. It could be a bit like Anthony Joshua, where he got knocked out by Ruiz and he's kind of like all over the place now. So we don't know, because we haven't really seen Warrington had a fight after that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Right, and we're going to bring this to a wrap then.
Yeah, it's been a lot longer than I expected it to be, if I'm being completely honest. But it's been good. I've enjoyed it. It's nice to have a little bit of heated banter once in a while.
Even if you are talking nonsense, but anyway, that's for another day.
Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone in the sidebar, except from Paul, because I'm a Forest fan as well, Paul. But everyone else, thanks for joining us.
Leicester will beat Nottingham Forest tomorrow, by the way.
Unfortunately, Imran, I've got to agree with you. That's pretty obvious, I'm afraid.
Even what Forest do pull it off, I expect Carl to message me saying something.
Carl's not a Forest fan, though.
Are you not a Forest fan? Are you?
Anyway, it's been a good night, guys. Big time Thursday, 7 p.m.
Carl's a Liverpool fan.
No way.
Accent.
Yo.
Oh, Matt, let's not do this tonight, Matt. It's all past 1 in the morning.
Fair enough. Sorry.
It all goes down to them glory days, mate, in the 80s.
No,
let me just defend myself here. I was born 79, so obviously I joined the 90s when Liverpool won a lot of trophies, didn't they? Not. So I'm not sure I can be called a glory hunter. So
it's been fun. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great
Not
stuff.
a problem. Anytime, mate. You're always on screen with us. It's always good fun. Imran, thanks again, mate.
No worries. Cheers. Thanks for having me, guys.
No worries.
Once again, live every Thursday, 7 p.m. See you all next week.
Take care.
Take care, guys.